I've run through Animal Kingdom and hopped on Expedition Everest during the race, run through, rode Everest, and got out, kept on going. There's characters along the way, there's entertainment, and there's just something magical about running through the Disney theme parks.
Have you been dreaming of travel but not sure where to go or how to begin planning? Well, you found the right podcast.
Welcome to Theme Parks and Passports, the travel podcast for every family ready to explore the world, one destination at a time. I'm Melissa Sanchez, travel addict, wife, and mom of 2 big kids. Along with planning all my family adventures, I've been helping others realize their travel dreams through my company, Spellbound Vacations, since 2010.
And I'm Heidi Mackey, a travel enthusiast with a passion for geek and pulp culture. I'm also a wife and a mom of a spicy tween. Since 2017, I've been creating vacation memories for families through my business, House of Mackey Travel. Join us as we share stories, tips, and talk to those in the know to inspire your family's next great adventure.
Because creating family travel memories can happen in any stage of life.
Hi, and welcome to Theme Parks and Passports. I'm Heidi Mackey from House of Mackey Travel.
And I'm Melissa Sanchez with Spellbound Vacations. Today we have a special guest, my very good friend and colleague, Shannon Heffern. She is joining us to talk about runDisney. And thank you so much for joining us, Shannon. I know that you are my runDisney expert that I always go to when I have questions or want information, because Shannon has done over 100 runDisney races. Welcome, Shannon.
Thanks for having me today.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Give us a little background on you.
So I currently live just outside the Magic here in Orlando. We moved here from Virginia back in 2020, and I've been doing travel since 2010. We love it living here. I'm just a few miles from the gates of Magic Kingdom. I live on the backside of water, I guess you could say. It's been great living here close to the Magic.
So when did you first sign up for your first runDisney race, and what made you sign up for it? What made you say, hey, I want to, get up at 2 a.m. and go run through a theme park?
Yeah. So I was in a local running group when we lived in Virginia, and it was called See Mommy Run. So it was basically moms getting together, pushing the kids in the strollers, being able to get out and exercise and be in a group with other moms to do some local races. We had one gal that was like, hey, have you guys ever heard of the Disney races in Florida? And I was like, oh, hello, you perked my, oh yes, sign me up. I want to go to Disney and I will do whatever you tell me to do. So we had a group that was going to sign up for the full marathon. So I had never run a full marathon before. I had run local 5Ks and maybe a few 10Ks here or there. So running a full marathon was a huge endeavor. So my friend Lynn and I decided that we were going to sign up for this race, and we trained. And then in 2011, in January for marathon weekend, we tackled our very first runDisney event, and it was more than I could have ever imagined. Running through the theme parks, the marathon, you run through all 4 theme parks, actually. And crossing that finish line was like nothing I had ever experienced before. Happy tears because my body hurt from head to toe. But it was amazing. And then after that, I was hooked, and I kept signing up year after year. So here we are, and I'm still doing the runDisney races.
Now, you've done over 100 runDisney races. Can you tell us a little bit more about the kinds of races?
So I have done all events from the family-friendly 5K to the ultimate distance of the Dopey Challenge, which is 4 days of running, 48.6 miles over the course of 4 days. So you run a 5K, a 10K, which is 6.2 miles. The third day, you run a half marathon of 13.1 miles. And then on the very last day, you tackle the full marathon for 26.2 magical miles.
How many times have you done Dopey?
I did it the inaugural year, and I've also done it on the 10-year anniversary. So 2 times for Dopey for me. So
Let's back up a little bit. You touched slightly on training for your first marathon, but doing all these races throughout the year, how do you keep up with your training? Is there a certain method that you do? Do you take time off if you aren't signed up for a race or you're like, I'm not running now? Or how does that work for you?
yeah, so Run Disney is really great because they offer training programs. So once you sign up for the race, there's a program for each distance that you can do, and you follow it along. It gives you what day you need to run each distance. And it's so great because you don't have to think about, well, how many miles am I supposed to do today? And what am I supposed to do? Run Disney has done everything. And thank you to the great Jeff Galloway because he made these programs for all of these runners. And I actually have used his training program since the get-go, where you run, walk, run. So you run for a certain period of time, and then you take small, short walking breaks, and that saves your energy and gets you through the finish line with lots of energy still left to walk through the parks for the rest of the day.
And we should mention, and sad news that Jeff Galloway did just recently pass away, but I am sure that Run Disney will continue sharing his methods and encouraging new and experienced runners to participate in that way.
Absolutely. Jeff Galloway is Run Disney in my eyes. I remember when he was at the Race Expo back when we did our first marathon, and we were so excited because we saw him downstairs at the expo. And he's always so grateful and just helping people. He was so sweet to chat with me about my training program. If I had questions about various things, he was just such a wonderful person and so helpful to so many, many runners over the years.
Now, you mentioned that you have done other races, but why is it that you love Run Disney so much? What makes it different other than the training process?
So I have done local races. I've also completed the Marine Corps Marathon. And I honestly, it's just something magical about being able to run through Magic Kingdom, running down Main Street and heading toward the castle. You actually run through the castle during the full marathon because I'm not as fast and speedy as the rest of the pack. So the parks are open, the theme parks are open. So I've run through Animal Kingdom and hopped on Expedition Everest during the race, run through Road Everest and got out, kept on going. But it's just, there's characters along the way, there's entertainment, and there's just something magical about running through the Disney theme parks.
Yeah, there definitely is. I've done a few 5Ks in my years because that's about as far of a distance as you're gonna get me to literally run walk.
You could totally do a 10K, Missy.
Maybe, we'll see, but my husband does do the longer races, and I know that your husband sometimes does some of the races with you, so do you like to have family and friends running with you? Do you invite them? I don't think you and I have ever done one together, actually, but I think you've done some of the same races as my husband.
So my husband Tom and I, we got married here and then honeymooned here as well. And it just so happened that it was during the Wine and Dine race weekend. So the day after our wedding, we ran the Disney 5K through Animal Kingdom back when it was in Animal Kingdom.
I
So
don't think
he
you do that.
said, this was not my idea of a honeymoon, is getting up and running through a theme park, but bless his heart, he did it. And so, but running with friends is really fun. I've run with coworkers, I've run with various people. And it just makes the miles go a lot faster. Having somebody to chit chat with, and you're taking pictures and selfies and various things. So it really is a fun time. And I know there's Princess Half Marathon weekend is always such a popular time for girls' weekends, getting the
Mhm.
girls together and having everybody do that, which is lots of fun. So you can make it a whole racecation through your Run Disney weekend.
Oh, that's so cool. Actually, I know that dressing up in costumes is a big part of the Run Disney culture. I have to ask, for your honeymoon, did you dress in a running wedding dress?
Well, I'm more of a DisneyBounding type of runner. So a sparkle skirt and maybe some ears and a shirt to kind of match. But I did wear bride ears, and our shirt said bride and groom. And then it had our wedding date on the back. So people were like, oh my gosh, you got married yesterday. And we're like, yay, here we are running. The 5K and the 10K, you really will see some great and just crazy costumes and things that people have great imaginations and are way more creative than I will ever be. I've seen people, 3 and 4 that have run hooked together as Slinky Dog, the monorail, Tron, light up costumes, all kinds of. It just is amazing. I'm almost more excited to see what people are going to show up in, because there's so much creativity and people just really do a great job with their costumes.
So if you had a client come to you, if you were booking a client who, let's say, had booked Princess Half Marathon weekend, what kind of tips would you give them for their costumes? Because I would imagine that a first-time participant might not wanna connect themselves to 4 other people as Slinky Dog.
No, it's probably not ideal, but I've seen a lot of things. You know, it I always tell people to be comfortable running whatever distance that you're going to run. Do a trial run. So if you've got an elaborate costume or a tutu or ears or various things that you're planning to run through your neighborhood, give it a go. You never go fresh and try out a new pair of shoes, a new outfit, any type of thing, because you want to know if it's going to cause issues or blisters or any type of thing that could really mess your race day up. You don't want to have that happen on top of everything else. So doing a little trial run is always a good thing to do beforehand.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I have noted when doing the races, and even doesn't even matter what time of year, because you're not running them in June and July and August, obviously, but January, February, April, November, it's chilly in the morning. So there's also layers that you may end up wearing. So I probably would say it's a good idea to test out those layers too. You don't wanna be
Mhm.
too hot, but you also wanna be able to have things you can take off and maybe tie around your waist, or if you're running with a backpack or something like that.
Central Florida is really quirky. So I've run marathon weekend probably the most, and I think that's kind of been my favorite because it was the first one that I ever did, so it holds a special place in my heart. But I have run marathon weekend where it has been in the 30s, and at the water stations, people are slipping and sliding because it's frozen on the ground. And then I've run where it's been a heat advisory because it's been so hot that people are really having to slow down and walk a lot
Mhm.
because of it's been so hot. So definitely layers is key. You have to keep an eye on the weather. One year we ran the Wine and Dine Half Marathon when it used to be a night race. Now everything is in the
Mhm.
morning, but it used to start at 10 p.m., which
Yes.
I don't know why I signed up for that because I am not a night owl, but here we are. And it poured. We stood in the corrals and it started to sprinkle. And then the next thing we knew, it was just a full on downpour the entire race. So having to run in soggy, wet everything, shoes, socks. I mean, it was just a mess, but we may do. But definitely taking things, throw away if you have old shirts. I know some people go to Walmart or the Dollar General and buy just a throwaway blanket where they can sit and be in the corrals, because you do wait quite a bit in the corrals before the race starts. So having those extra layers and then you toss them. Run Disney gives all of the clothing, blankets, things that people toss to local shelters, which is nice. So they donate all of those clothes and they go through and pick everything up. So it doesn't just run in the trash, which I think is great.
Now, I know for some races that you need to qualify for them. Is there any kind of qualification that you have to do for Run Disney events?
So anybody can sign up for a Run Disney race. Once you sign up and do the registration, it's going to ask you, have you run before? Do you want to submit a proof of time? The proof of time is basically just to make sure that they have all the runners sectioned in the appropriate corrals. So different corrals, corral A is going to typically have the faster runners, and then B, C, D, and sometimes there's many corrals. So if you didn't submit a proof of time, there's a place where you can just add what you think. I don't ever submit a proof of time personally. I just put in there what I think my estimated time finish is going to be within a certain range. And then Run Disney places me where they think I'm best suited, which is nice because then you don't have the people that are trying to qualify for Boston back in the fun section, which is where I am in the fun section, where we're laughing and giggling and doing our thing and taking selfies as we're running. So a lot of the more serious speedy runners are more up in the front. They're more apt to finishing and looking for a personal best or a certain time finish.
Yeah, well, I'm in the back with you, Shannon, and it's all good. But you mentioned registration. So registration is not the easiest thing in the world.
I like to refer it as the Hunger Games of Run Disney. So they have sign-up times. You have to log in and make an account through Run Disney. And then once the registration opens, then you're placed into a queue. The queue could be any length of time. I've waited upwards of a couple of hours waiting in the queue to try to get through to register, and even have been to where I didn't get through the queue fast enough. So I wasn't able to register because it sold out before I got to that part.
Right. And we should mention that on March 17th, the air date for this episode is March 15th. So in a couple of days, March 17th, the race signups for the general public for Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend 2027 is going to open up. I don't think my husband and I are going to be signing up this year. We will see. We're still kind of discussing whether or not he's going to run any of the races. But do you think you're going to be signing up for next year's marathon weekend?
I always sign up because I have major FOMO. I like to be involved in the races. And then when I can't get in, then I see everybody else running. So it's a whole thing. But I have found that after 10 full marathons and turning 50 this past year, that maybe the full is not my jam anymore. Half marathons or 10Ks are usually my sweet spot. So I think I'll try to sign up for one of those distances for 2027 for sure.
So now that we're signed up for the runs where you actually run through the park, do you need to have a ticket to be able to participate also, or is that part of your registration?
Yeah, so you do not need a theme park ticket in order to participate in the Run Disney events. If you decide that you want to visit the theme parks with your family and friends after the race is complete, you would need a theme park ticket. However, there's one little caveat. If you run the Wine and Dine half marathon, Disney will do a after hours event, and it's specifically for the participants that do the half marathon. So all of the participants that do the half, they automatically get entry. Now, if you say you are doing the half marathon, but your significant other did not participate, they can actually buy an after hours ticket and still go to the after hours event at Epcot, which is really fun because it's during the Food and Wine Festival. So being able to have that, you can go back to your resort, nap, do whatever you need, and then go back in the evening after the park closes and they have the after hours event. So, but that's also one little way that you can have a little extra magic by running the half marathon. So, see, you gals are going to have to run the half marathon with me so we can all go to the after hours event together.
Well, I will admit I've done the after hours event with my husband when he did the half marathon. So I was the, non-participating spouse who bought the extra ticket. So it's definitely a fun event. There's all kinds of cool character meet and greets. And like you said, it's during food and wines, which is really great. So it's definitely a great event if you're participating in that half marathon that weekend.
I unfortunately am not a runner, but I am an amazing cheerleader, and I absolutely love to be there to support everybody. But can guests volunteer at the races, or is there a way for them to participate if they're not running?
For sure. So, Disney used to do volunteers to where you could sign up ahead of time to pass out finishers medals, water stations, different things. And I think along the years, they've had some struggles with the volunteers. So they've now pivoted and are working with contract agencies. So you actually sign up with these particular agencies and you can work, which I have done on many occasions. It's still a nice way to participate, although you do have to get there even earlier than the runners do. So if early morning wake ups are not your jam, then it might not be in your wheelhouse, but it's so much fun. I have seen celebrities run through. I saw Jackson Olsen from Savannah Bananas run through on the 5K during the Wine and Dine race weekend, and I handed him his water and off he went. So it's super fun to see the racers come through, and they're so excited to be there, and I'm excited to cheer them on. I've seen friends run through. It's just a really fun time to be able to still be involved with the race weekend if, I'm not running for that particular weekend.
So if you have clients that have contacted you, they're signed up for marathon weekend. This is their first time. They're coming with their family. Only one parent is participating. What's some advice that you'd give to the runner, but also to the family that is going to be there, but they're not participating?
The best thing that I can tell guests is if you want to watch your loved one run the race or be in various places of the race, you can actually stay in certain resorts and the runners will run right past you.
Mhm.
The resorts that are on the Boardwalk Inn, the Beach Club, the Yacht Club, they run through for the 10Ks, half marathons, and sometimes the full marathons as well. So the Grand Floridian, the Polynesian, you run past those. So being able to stay on property is super easy. And then you can just come right out of your resort. I've seen people even on their room balconies, waving at us and holding up signs and things as we run through, which is fun. But there's also ways that they can utilize the Run Disney transportation if they want to meet or see their loved one run down Main Street. They will open Magic Kingdom up so that they can go through because the parks aren't open usually at that time because it's pretty early in the race. There's also a digital guide that Run Disney puts out prior to the race. So the family members and friends can figure out where they want to watch their loved ones run through. They can watch them on Main Street going down Magic Kingdom. Best part is always going to the finish of or at Epcot and seeing them cross that finish line after they've done the race. So Run Disney's really good about giving lots of information and tips. And then that way they have all the information prior to getting to Walt Disney World.
What is the process? So you're all signed up, your package is booked, you show up at Disney, then what? Where do you get your packet? Where do you get your bibs? Where do you do all those things? How is that sort of thing arranged?
So Run Disney does a race expo over at the ESPN Wide World of Sports. So prior to your race, you are going to need to go over to ESPN. It's a huge complex and it is a big hustle bustle the first day that the race expo is open. Everybody is there and they're so excited to start their race weekend. So you go there, there's a place for you to pick up your race bib. There's a place for you to pick up your race shirts. Everybody gets a finisher's shirt for participating. And then there's also the actual expo. So it's kind of divided into two different areas. So The main expo will be for all kinds of running things that you may have forgotten or things you need to pick up or look at. Shoes, headgear, socks, anything that you might need, gels, goos, any type of hydration type things that you might need for your race weekend. Then over on the other part is what I like to call the fun spot, because that's where you get to shop and there's all the Run Disney things that you could ever imagine. There's For Princess Weekend, there's ears and there's shirts and there's wine glasses and there's Run Disney shoes.
Mm.
Oh, those are the best little things that you can pick up, and they are very popular. So popular now that on day one of the Race Expo, you actually have to sign up for a virtual queue to be able to shop on that first day.
Yes, we came home with a pair of shoes
Mhm.
this past marathon weekend. Now, I should add, though, Willie didn't actually run any of the races. However, he did go to the expo because anyone can go to the expo and go shopping.
Mhm.
There is, like you said, that virtual queue on day one, but on day 2 or 3, I can go over there and go shopping. I took a break. I was doing some work. He went over to the expo, came back with a pair of lovely Mickey Mouse running shoes. They're fantastic. He wears them all the time. He loves them.
As one should. I have many, many pairs of Run Disney shoes, and they just put out new ones. They used to be with New Balance, and then now they
Mhm.
have a contract with Brooks. So Brooks Running. And so, yeah, I had my eyes on the new Rapunzel shoes this time, but I didn't quite make it over.
Now you've pretty much convinced me, maybe not for the marathon, but with the 5K option, you've pretty much convinced me that I should be signing up for one of these. What advice would you give me as a first-time runner? How far in advance should I start making my plans for these other races?
Yeah, so the nice thing about the 5K is they're family friendly and they're not timed. So the 10K and above, they are timed events. So you do have to maintain a 16-minute mile pace. The 5K, anybody can run, kids can run. So it's a really great event that everybody can do together. So, but once you sign up, I always suggest that you start out walking. Walking is so great. You can start getting your steps in, and then eventually you can do little short intervals of running, even if it's for 10 seconds of a run and then you do 1 minute of walking. You're slowly starting to build up to where you're able to do a little more. And there's some people that end up walking the entire distance. I've seen many people that walk even the full marathon. As long as you're maintaining that 16-minute mile pace on the average, and they do have pacers that will run through and kind of keep you on track. And then there's also the balloon ladies, which we have all know and love. And they're the sweetest ladies. They really are, but they've had this lure of being, like, oh, they're scary and the balloon ladies are coming. So, but we love the balloon ladies. They're there to do a job and they do a fantastic job with the Run Disney events.
What is a balloon lady and what is her job? I'm so
Oh,
intrigued.
so the balloon ladies are always, and there's usually about 3 of them depending on the race, and they literally run with usually it's the Mickey balloon that they all run with, and it is their job. They are the very last people to cross that start line, and it is their job every mile marker that they keep track, and they maintain that 16-minute mile pace. So as long as you could be 2 steps ahead. As long as you are ahead of the balloon ladies, you're good to go. Every mile marker, you will see, usually it's a bus and it'll say parade bus. So if you have fallen behind and you cannot maintain that, because they do have to clear the course, they have to clean everything up. They're trying to get everything done before the parks open. They do have to maintain that race pace. If you can't maintain that, they will sweep you. You'll be placed on the parade bus and then they'll take you to the finish. Now, as many races that I've done, I haven't been swept. I know there's been many people because of injuries or various other reasons that they aren't able to complete the race. So even if you don't finish, you still get a participation medal. If you are doing a challenge to where you're doing like a 10K and a half, or that there's two where you're participating in a challenge race, you wouldn't receive your challenge medal, but you would receive a participation, your finisher's medal, because you did start the race and you worked on completing it. You just may not have finished it. So, but the balloon ladies are great. They're very helpful and they're trying to, encouraging to make sure that everybody is doing the best that they can to try to finish it.
Yeah, thank goodness I've only done 5Ks, so I've never had to worry about the balloon ladies because
They're very sweet.
yeah, I'm sure they are lovely. I would probably become good friends with them if I was doing a marathon. However, so
I've
we've
seen
talked about that March 17th is the date that registration is gonna open for the general public to the Marathon Weekend 2027. Run Disney's website you can visit, and it has the list of events and the specific dates that the events are going to open up. So it would be Marathon Weekend, Princess Half Marathon Weekend, the Springtime Surprise Weekend, the Wine and Dine, and then Disney also does virtual races. When you do a virtual race, you get the medals. They send you a box of medals, which is
they
really
sure do.
fun and really cool. So lots of different ways for people to participate.
Now, I know that it's not an official Run Disney event, but have you done any of the 5Ks that you can do while you're on the Disney Cruise Line?
Oh, yes, the Castaway Cay 5K. That's a favorite. So when you go to Castaway Cay, it's basically on your own at your leisure. If you want to walk, there's signage out to tell you kind of where to go along the course. It's a beautiful course. You get to explore a lot of the island and see various parts that you may or may not see while you're on Castaway. But then when you finish, you return to where you would rent the bikes at the bike station there. And then the cast members will give you your finisher's medallion, which is super fun. So being able to do a little bit of exercise before you have the Mickey churro waffles on the cruise is also a good way to burn calories before you eat at the buffets. So
Thank you, Shannon, so much for sharing all your
yay!
experiences. And can you share with us? I know you are very active on social media. So, can you share with us and our listeners where we can find you?
Sure. So I am Shannon Heffern, travel planner. I am on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I love posting all about my racecations, my race weekends, things that I'm doing through the Run Disney events. And if you ever have questions, please reach out. You can always DM me. I love Run Disney. As you can tell, I've done many, many, many races and looking to add more to my collection very soon. So I hope that maybe you lovely ladies will join me on a Run Disney event very soon.
Maybe, maybe Shannon, you might be able to twist my arm.
Come on,
It's
do it.
You make it sound like so much fun too. Like if I'm
It
going to run anywhere, yeah, why not run at Disney?
Mhm.
for sure. Do it, do it.
We always end all of our episodes with a would you rather. So, my question is, and we didn't actually touch on this, but I know that you've done it. Would you rather run at Walt Disney World, Disney's Castaway Cay, or Disneyland?
I have done Disneyland, and I will say it is a lot of fun, but my home is here in Walt Disney World, so I will have to go with Walt Disney World. So I'm going to be Team Walt Disney World.
How about you, Heidi? On your first Run Disney event, which one do you think you want to do?
My first Run Disney event, I would also say probably Walt Disney World. Part of me wants to say Castaway Cay because I can do it on my own, but I really think that I would need that structure to really feel like I was participating and understand what I need to do for them so that I'm ready to do more. How about you, Melissa?
Definitely Walt Disney World. I'm not sure which event. I've participated in all but the Springtime Surprise, and I'm looking into potentially considering doing that for 2027. So I definitely think that Magic Kingdom would be. And Roxy, my puppy, agrees that Walt Disney World is the place we should be running at.
Smart girl, Roxy.
Well, thank you again so much, Shannon, for joining us today and sharing all this amazing information about Run Disney. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit subscribe on Spotify or your favorite podcast player. And while you're there, feel free to leave us a rating and review.
Check out the show notes for links to Spellbound Vacations LLC and House of Mackie Travel. Until next time, keep living your best travel life.